Ladies and gentlemen, this is Reaction. This is History of Russia Part 5 by the channel Epic History TV. Yes, this is the last part, I think. Yes, this is the last part of History of Russia. The real history starts now, I guess, because now Tsar Nicholas and his family is gonna die really horribly. But after that, Stalin, right, Lenin, all the Soviet memes and everything's gonna come. World War II, Hitler's gonna pop up, I guess. So yeah, let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more, which channels to react to more, I guess. Check out the reaction, there's a link in the description. Check out the cast, replace everything, cards, and yeah, let's watch it.
In 1881, Russian Emperor Alexander II was assassinated by left-wing terrorists in St. Petersburg.
Oh yeah, this was part of oversimplified view, right? Look what they did to me, boy. That's Alexander II. But he was good Tsar, wasn't he? Apart from not basically making sure his kid grows up right. He was a terrible parent, but he was a good Tsar because he made sure there is no slavery and things like that. So yeah.
Today, the place where he was fatally wounded is marked by the magnificent Church of the Saviour on Spilled Blood. Alexander II had been a reformer, hailed as the liberator for freeing Russia's serfs. But his son and successor, Alexander III, believed his father's reforms had unleashed dangerous
Wait a minute,
forces.
I'm mixing him up. What? Wait a minute, so Alexander III also gets killed by the bombs? Because I know the last Tsar Nicholas, his father gets killed by the bomb. So it was Alexander III, not the second one. So Alexander III is the terrible father. Oh, there is so much confusion.
Within Russia that ultimately led to his death. As emperor, he publicly vowed to reassert autocratic rule, declaring that, in the midst of our great grief, the voice of God orders us to undertake courageously the task of ruling, with faith in the strength and rightness of autocratic power. The Tsar's secret police, the so-called Okhranka, was ordered to infiltrate Russia's many revolutionary groups. Those found guilty of plotting against the government were hanged or sent into internal exile in Siberia.
There you go. Siberia.
Alexander.
Sometimes I wonder if somebody could in the future has technology to, I guess, scavenge entire Siberia. How many dead bodies are they going to find? How many people dead? Only from, I guess, during the Cold War and Stalin's time alone, let alone anything before that.
The third was a pious man who supported the Orthodox Church and the assertion of a strong Russian national identity. Russia's Jews became victims of this policy. They'd already been targeted in murderous race riots known as pogroms, after false rumors were spread that they were responsible for the assassination of the emperor.
Man, somebody really needs to make comprehensive video on Jews from the Roman times to the current times. How many times they were slaughtered in masses? Because I bet there's way too much. If Epic History probably makes a video about that, it would be really big series, like 10-15 part series or something. And I don't like to comment on anything religious because I don't like to talk about that much, right? People get pissed off too much and comments just become way too much. But Jewish people, right? Jewish religion, I'm surprised it survived as much long, because normally I would have thought lots of people would just claim that they are not Jewish and basically convert to Christianity or something, because how many Christians are around them? Every Jews are living in massive Christian countries or Christian countries that are around them. So obviously this shit like this is going to happen, where every Christian country and Christian people will basically slaughter Jews left and right. Right? And this is what's happening for, I guess, millennia now, since the Roman times. Christian countries, Christian people, townsfolk basically blame Jews and kills them for no fucking reason.
Now the government expelled 20,000 Jews from Moscow, and many who could began to leave the country. Over the next 40 years,
Britain
around
and US,
2 million
alright.
Jews would leave Russia, most bound for the USA. Concerned by the growing power of Germany, Russia signed an alliance with France, both sides promising military aid if the other was attacked.
Yeah, those Jews were damn lucky, right? They got around this time. Because if they had stuck around, in few decades Hitler was coming, and that would have been so bad.
Sergei Witte was appointed Russia's new Minister of Finance. His reforms helped to modernize the Russian economy and encourage foreign investment, particularly from its new ally, France. French loans helped Russia to develop its industry and infrastructure. Work began on the Trans-Siberian Railway. Completed in 1916, it remains the world's longest railway line, running 5,772 miles.
Oh my god. Imagine starting from Moscow to all the way to Vladivostok, making that journey. How many days it would take, and 9,290 kilometers. I don't think there is any train that would go from Moscow to all the way to Vladivostok, right? There would be train that stops along the way and another train basically moves forward or something like that. No way one train goes all the way there. 9,000 kilometers?
From Moscow
That would take what?
to Vladivostok.
Weeks, I guess.
Alexander III was succeeded by his son, Nicholas II. His
There we go.
coronation was marred by tragedy when 1,400 people were crushed to death at an open-air celebration in Moscow. China granted Russia the right to build a naval base at Port Arthur. When China faced a major revolt known as the Boxer Rebellion, Russia moved troops into Manchuria under the pretext of defending Port Arthur from the rebels. This brought Russia into conflict with Japan, who also had designs over Manchuria and Korea. The Japanese made a surprise attack on Port Arthur, then defeated the Russian army at the giant Battle of Mukden. Russia's Baltic fleet, meanwhile, had sailed halfway around the world.
Around this time, Nicholas's image was stained even more that Japan beat Russia.
To reach the Pacific, where it was immediately annihilated at the Battle of Tsushima. Russia was left with no option but to sign a humiliating peace, brokered by US President Theodore Roosevelt. Meanwhile, the Tsar faced another crisis much closer to home. In St. Petersburg, a strike by steel workers had escalated, and plans were made for a mass demonstration. Tens of thousands of protesters marched to the Winter Palace to present a petition to the Tsar, asking for better workers' rights and more political freedom. But instead, troops opened fire on the crowds, killing more than 100.
Because we know that
Bloody
always works.
Sunday, as it became known, led to more strikes and unrest across the country. The crew of the battleship Potemkin mutinied, killing their officers and taking control of the ship. To defuse the crisis, Nicholas II reluctantly issued the October Manifesto, drafted under the supervision of Sergei Witte. It promised an elected assembly and new political rights, including freedom of speech, and was welcomed by most moderates. Russia's first constitution was drafted the next year. For the
Freedom of speech is so fundamental to our lives nowadays, right? I mean, most countries around the world, that we really don't think about it. But damn, there were times in major countries where freedom of speech was not granted. Like, you can't just speak your mind, even you have to be, suppressed in that way too. Otherwise, you face, real consequences.
the first time, the Tsar would share power with an elected assembly, the State Duma, though the Tsar had the right to veto its legislation and dissolve it at any time. Sergei Witte finally lost the Tsar's confidence and was dismissed. The Tsar's new Prime Minister, Stolypin, introduced land reforms to help the peasants, while dealing severely with Russia's would-be revolutionaries, so much so that the hangman's noose got a new nickname: Stolypin's necktie. But having survived several attempts on his life, Stolypin was shot and killed by an assassin at the Kiev Opera House. Meanwhile, Grigory Rasputin, a Siberian faith healer, had joined the imperial family's inner circle, thanks to his unique ability to ease the suffering of the Tsar's hemophiliac son, Alexei. Despite sporadic acts of terrorism, Russia now had the fastest growing economy in Europe.
Yeah.
Agricultural and industrial output were on the rise. Most ordinary Russians remained loyal to the Tsar and his family.
I mean, Russia is giant. At the time, they also had good enough population, right? Every time somebody goes to war with Russia in World War One, even during the Napoleonic times, one thing they always get surprised about, especially in World War One, that how many soldiers they have, right? The numbers alone. So obviously, if you start to do industrial revolution, which they started right around this time, like, okay, we are way behind Europe. Fuck it, let's start the industrial revolution, which they started. Which is, doing all this kind of different thing while having this kind of a large land mass and population. Obviously, your economy shoot up pretty quickly.
Russia's future seemed bright. In 1914, in Sarajevo, a Slav nationalist assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, sparking a European crisis. When Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Emperor Nicholas ordered the Russian army to mobilize, to show his support for a fellow Slav nation. Austria-Hungary's ally, Germany, saw Russian mobilization as a threat.
Okay, what would have happened if Tsar Nicholas would have just said, okay, Serbia fucked up by assassinating Archduke, of Austria, regardless of who were those people, they were basically terrorists or whatever. Austrian Archduke got shot in Serbia. It's Serbia's fault or something. They have to make up for it or something. Agree with all the Austrian terms and whatever. We are not going to support you or something like that. What if Russia had done that? What would have happened? Would the World War One would have happened? I don't know. I mean, our war would have happened eventually, right? Because the tensions were high with all the countries. But the excuse wouldn't have been there, right? Maybe Austria would have eventually consumed Serbia, which I don't know how Russia would have just sit back and other countries would have sit back. That's like giving way too much power to Austria. That Serbia is a massive country. Austria would have been nearly doubled by then if they had done that. And Austria and Germany being really good allies, right? I mean, before that, they were kind of part of one empire, so really, really good allies. That would have been problematic for many countries. So I don't know how they would have sit back, but just I imagine small parts here and there. Like, what if in World War I, Russia would have said, like, this is your fault, we are not going to support you? What would have happened?
And declared war. Europe's network of alliances came into effect, and soon all the major powers were marching to war.
I got you. Otherwise, I got you. There you go.
Had begun.
Britain's
Russia experienced a
Britain's
wave
I don't got you, but don't touch, Belgium. That's the problem.
of patriotic fervor. The capital, St. Petersburg, was even renamed Petrograd
Yeah.
to sound less German. An early Russian advance into East Prussia ended with heavy defeats at Tannenberg and the Masurian Lakes. There was greater success against Austria-Hungary, but that too came at a high price. Russian losses forced the army to make a general retreat in 1915. In 1916, Russia's Brusilov offensive against Austro-Hungarian forces was one of the most successful Allied attacks of the war. But losses were so heavy that the Russian army was unable to launch any more major operations. In Petrograd, Rasputin, whose alleged influence over the Tsar's family was despised by certain Russian aristocrats, was murdered, possibly with the help of British agents. The war put intolerable strains on Russia. At the front, losses were enormous, while in the cities, economic mismanagement.
Wait a minute. Russia was against Germany and Austria in World War I, so they're kind of ally to Britain at that point. So why would Britain agents do anything that would disrupt Tsar's whole life and mentality by killing basically Rasputin there? Why would British agent help that? Because doesn't this weaken Tsar's position? Because Tsar is right now fighting Austria and Germany, right? Which is what Britain, France, everybody wants. Why fuck with that chain? So, the revolution will eventually make sure that, Tsar is killed, right? So Soviets take in power. That's not good for, oral war. I don't know.
Management led to rising prices and food shortages. In Petrograd, the workers' frustration led to strikes and demonstrations. Troops ordered to disperse the crowds refused and joined the protesters instead. The government had lost control of the capital. On board the imperial train at Pskov, senior politicians and generals told the emperor he must abdicate, or Russia would descend into anarchy and lose the war. Nicholas accepted their advice and renounced the throne in favour of his brother, Grand Duke Michael, who effectively declined the offer. 400 years of Romanov rule were at an end. Russia was...
Grand Duke is like, yeah, I know this shit, where this is going. I'm not going there. They'll kill me.
Now a republic. A provisional government took power, but could not halt Russia's slide into economic and military chaos. Workers, soldiers and peasants elected their own councils, known as Soviets. The Petrograd Soviet was so powerful it was effectively a rival government, especially as discontent with the provisional government continued to grow. The Bolsheviks, under Vladimir Lenin, attracted growing support. With their radical proposals for an immediate end to the war,
Bolsheviks means majority, right? Even though he was minority, he called himself as Bolsheviks.
Distribution of land and transfer of power to the Soviets. In October, they launched a coup, masterminded by Leon Trotsky. Bolshevik Red Guards stormed the Winter Palace, where the provisional government met, and arrested its members. Lenin and the Bolsheviks were now in charge. Russia had been thrown upon a bold and dangerous course. Under a Marxist-inspired revolutionary party, it would now seek to create the world's first communist state. But first, it would have to survive the chaos and slaughter of one of history's bloodiest civil wars.
That's it. You're not gonna go through the entire. Okay, so he made another video, the Russian Revolution. But this is history of Russia. Don't you have to go all the way up until today? I don't know. I guess he's gonna cover other part of history of Russia through Russian Revolution. I thought Hitler's gonna come, Stalin's gonna come, and he's gonna go through all that, but no. Alright, people, that was History of Russia Part 5. Right? I mean, it was a communist Russia, but how communist was that? I mean, really, Lenin and Stalin after that didn't really care about socialism as much as more. They became more of a dictators, right? They wanted to, shape their country in the image of the people, but only if that image lines up with how they see things. That's not really socialist, right? But yeah. Alright, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the Rick Sunday, there's a link in the description, check out the cast over and cards, and yeah, comment down which next series should I react to. Should I react to, I don't know, Alexander the Great or what from this channel? And yeah, I'll see you next time.